Hello, tankers and gamers. Before we get into the sales pitch, let us say the tanker's prayer. Tank Jeebus, grant me the strength to accept the things I cannot change. For wargaming makes the rules, so wargaming can break the rules. Thank you. So, this video is going to be on the tank of the month, the Leopard 2AV, and I'm going to cut to the quick here. Buy it. If you got $10, you play Cold War mode, and you play Era 2, and you don't have this tank, get it. And this video is going to show not how great this tank is, but how much fun you can have kind of being stupid in this tank. This isn't going to be an expert review like the others, because this is just another version of what they're going to say. The Leopard 2AV is an awesome heavy tank. And right now, with the T-80s being introduced into Era 2, this is probably the only Western Alliance heavy tank that can keep up with them, with the exception to the Mobat. But you're not buying the Mobat. If you don't got the Mobat, you're never going to get it. I don't know when G.I. Joe might come back, but right now, this tank right here is available for this month for $10. You get some boosters, you get 850 gold, you get 3 days of premium. Now is the time to get one of the best Western Alliance premium. The last time they had an Era 2 premium, it was the Conqueror Mark II, which was slow and big. This tank is fast, maneuverable, and hits hard enough. And this is where probably the only weakness comes in, is the 105mm gun. It has 370mm of penetration on a stand around, it has heat, and then it has like 230mm on the hesh. It's got hesh. You can roll big. You can slap them light tanks. And if you know where the soft engine deck on a tank is, and you high roll, hell yeah. Let me say what I mean here. Let me bring up the damn bitch. Let's see what we got here. Yeah. 570 damage on the hesh. You high roll, you can get over 700. If you high roll. But that's what's great about hesh. And we love hesh here. Like and subscribe if you love hesh. If you live the hesh life, like and subscribe. So, this tank is all about mobility. It is mobile. It starts out at 72 kilometers per hour. Okay? And suddenly, here's the thing though. It has armor. It's got spaced armor on the turret. It's got layers of armor on the hull, the front glacis. Of course, lower plate is weak. Big whoop. A lot of them are. You got acceptable side armor. But here's the thing. You're suddenly doing 70 kilometers per hour, and you've got armor. You know what's going to happen? Because of the freak RNG that is World of Tanks, you get light armor bounces and heavy tank. How can you not hate that? You can't hate that. And that's the thing here. You can set this tank up to smash light tanks and light mediums, or you can set it up to run and gun, or bounce around the map, finding spots, sniping, and running away. You can be a support tank. You can lead the charge. This is one of the most versatile tanks in Era 2. And I cannot stress enough. If you got $10 and you don't have this tank, now's the time. It's such a fun tank. It's a yeehaw tank too. But, back to the gun. Lower penetration for 105mm. Gotta balance it somewhere. Accuracy, it's a little meh. But that's the thing. You put on the run and gun perk for your commander. Maybe you put on gun stabilizer. Maybe you don't, because maybe you're like, you know what? I'm going to use my speed to get up and close, hit, get in there, smash them, then blast them, back off, spin around, blast them again. Or you really focus on that accuracy. You zoom around the map. You find the cover. You take up the spot. Getting the camo down, you're not going to turn yourself into a TD. But you can still act as a sniper role from the distance. But again, 370mm pen, you might want to prefer the midline. But that's the thing. With the turret armor in this, you can hold the midline. You have that reverse speed to really duck back behind cover so that you don't get hit. ATGMs don't do well with the spaced armor, the era armor, and the composite armor. So it's really hard to find a fault with this tank if, of course, that the player's the weakness. Because, like I said, it's a yeehaw tank. You might find yourself YOLOing when you don't intend to because of that speed. Again, if you focus on the speed, you can find yourself really getting close to that 80 kilometers per hour on the flat. Easily done on hills. Even now, with this commander, I've only got this commander in these first few clips only has 3 perks. I've only unlocked 3 perks for this one. The last one is one I swapped out for my Mobat and is almost 7 or 8 perks and is meant for smashing. Again, this tank starts off as such a solid base, and you can take it in such different directions, and it's really refreshing, and it's surprising that they're giving this away. But in all honesty, if you see the T-80 lines with their 80 kilometers per hour, but you don't like that the lack of gun depression, Soviet tanks at your jam, this is a great tank. And 65% silver boost. If you are a fan of the Mobat, but you don't got the Mobat, this is the closest you're going to get to that. And in all honesty, it's going to be a hell of a lot cheaper from if G.I. Joe comes back. And there's no guarantee it is. But the Leopard 2AV is here, it's now, it's good. And I've been seeing them show up a lot more in the Matchmaker, and great. These are solid tanks. Not perfect, but oh, they're fun and they work. They're functional, fun and functional. You don't usually get that. It's like, alright, it's a functional tank, but you only get 50 kilometers per hour or something like that. There's always a catch. This one is like taking this tank around the map with its speed and these capabilities. Like, oh, it can really make you feel good. Even when you're being stupid, it can make you feel good. Yeah, alright. Alright, it helps with the wolf backing it, man. Especially with certain wolf packs, especially Air 2 when you got slower tanks. Like, hey, I'd rather be at the front, getting all the damage, getting all the assists, while everyone else is playing catch up. Yeah. So that's probably the one that you gotta go, It's more of a you problem and not the tank's problem. But it's fun. It really is. So, in the third and final clip, it kind of really highlights what I've been saying about this tank, about it being able to kind of be an aggressive front of the line tank, but at the same time also being a support tank, which for heavy tanks is kind of like, you don't always get that. And that's where the Leopard 2AV is not a unicorn, but it's very unique in the fashion. It really does, especially for Air 2, up until, and this predated the Chieftain 120, and that's kind of like the British cousin to this tank, really, but with better armor. It really is. You have the very similar speed. Gun may not be as accurate, but you're not as... One of the 2AV, I don't feel as much of an ammo rack as I do with the British tank. It's still possible. Still got the ammo rack kind of up front. So ATGMs, if they find those weak spots, again, check your armor profile, check your modules. just so you know which way to angle yourself if you're getting into the stuck in it, especially on some of those city maps or urban maps or confined areas and maps. Always, always know where your ammo rack is, okay? Getting set on fire hasn't always been a big concern, but something to be taken into consideration, I do suppose. So, what else to say? Yeah, there's the Mobat, the Chieftain 120. They're probably the closest thing to the 2AV. After that, the only way to get this kind of speed is with medium tanks, but you don't. With the medium tanks, you don't have the armor. The Super M48 has a similar armor profile, but it certainly does not have the speed. Not even close to the speed. Now, Hellfire Pass, just like LLMA, this is a Cold War map. It's meant to be a Cold War map, and so you're going to be able to see how this tank can stretch. Just like, hey, look, it's another Leopard 2AV. Hey, I know. Don't blame me. Blame Morgan for having us spawn in so close. Like, come on. We are big tanks, and we do have wide turning radius, okay? So, I'm already almost at the 80 kilometers per hour with a very slight decline. Heading over to an area where I know the enemy comes, but it has hills, and I can get over there fast. Here I am actually catching up to an FE-4211. And suddenly, this is a scenario that doesn't always happen. Bright pink camo in Cold War, but they're an FE-4211. They can get away with it. What I was saying is, here we are. I'm doing some detecting. I'm suddenly finding myself, as this interaction progresses, I'm suddenly finding myself kind of in the role of a light tank. And the FE-4211 takes up the role of the slower heavy, like in World War II mode, where it's such a great situation where if you find yourself with a little bit of cover, but you find the enemy team YOLOing in on you and isolating themselves from the rest of their team, they get distracted with the heavy tank. You're zooming around, picking away at their HP, while the heavy tank is doing major damage at the end of their longer reload. Meanwhile, you're still detecting tanks incoming, trying to get a piece of this action. But because you have a teammate that's such well armored, they are not taking such bad damage, while you are able to keep the match moving, keep the chaos going. I was asking for help because if we just had one medium or another tank just like at mid-range sniping, that would be the perfect scenario. That's the dream scenario. I found myself a lot of times in World 2 trying to find that position where I would be following a light tank and a slower heavy tank, and while they were kind of engaging the enemy, I would be supporting them by sniper fire, tracking damage. And look, 2 tanks taken out with this method. Yeah, but it's just we didn't have that third tank. Oh man, if we had had a BMP-2, a Martyr, or a Martyr, that would be great. But this was just one of those scenarios. I'm like, I haven't felt like this since World War II. You don't usually see it kind of this slow down fight in Cold War mode, so it was really nice to kind of like have this memory. Sadly, my teammate, they turned to face the what was it, the Forad, or that French medium, and they exposed their rear, and of course the enemy team was still like, oh, kind of got a handle on the situation, were able to capitalize. But it was such fun, and look at the speed and mobility I had with this tank in a small area. 4,000 damage, only 1 kill, but this is the definition of this can be it can be a support tank, but it can be a brawler. Especially if you know your weak points, because again, 37mm penetration, you might need to aim, but this is a tank. When I take it out, it kind of just brings a smile to my face, and it's like, that's a good thing. That's what you want Alright? So, I'm going to end it there because you know it already. Buy the tank if you haven't. It's a great tank and you really should get it. Add it to your collection. So with that said, I hope you keep tracks on the ground. RNG's in your favor. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye.